In Paul's letter to Romans, he says, "You who are called to belong to Jesus Christ are called to be holy." And the Second Vatican Council reiterates that same theme, where everyone, clergy and laity, are all called to holiness. Through our baptism, we are called to become children of God. As children of God, we are called to do the will of God. And when we do the will of God, we become brothers and sisters of Jesus Christ. We are called to be Christ-like. What is the will of God? For Joseph, it was to take Mary as his wife. Earlier, Mary had said her yes in her fiat. "Let it be done to me according to your word." Their yeses were to fulfill what the Lord had said through the prophet. "Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall name him Emmanuel." Literally, God is with us. And Joseph was to call him Jesus, which means God saves. Without Mary's fiat and Joseph's yes, we would not have been saved from our sins through Jesus' death and resurrection. Joseph's dream changed his life and ours. So, what is the will of God for us? Simply, to be holy. And what does it mean to be holy? To be holy is to discover and accept that we belong to God, who alone is holy. We all have different paths and ways to holiness, but when we come to realize that we are truly loved by God, then we are on our way to spiritual holiness. Most of us will never have a dream to tell us what God has in store for us. We have to discover that through our own experiences and through prayer. St. Ignatius of Loyola would call it discernment, and examinations of one's internal movements of spirit, especially in prayer. We need to discern which experiences are from God and which are not. In other words, do they lead toward God or away from Him? In a book called Belonging to God, a personal training guide for the deeper Catholic spiritual life, Msgr. Charles Murphy uses the teachings of St. Francis de Sales as a guide towards holiness. Knowing that everyone cannot have a spiritual director, St. Francis de Sales set up a set of spiritual exercises that everyone can follow in their daily life. He suggested that people who want to grow closer to God spend an hour each day in meditation, preferably in the morning. But he realized that not everyone can even do that amount. So he suggested just spending 5 or 10 minutes each morning, sometime during the day, to follow 5 spiritual practices. Following those, you'll grow closer to God. His 5 spiritual principles for meditation are: listen deeply to your heart and trust what it says. Commit your heart firmly to God. Strive gently for perfect freedom of heart. Belong joyfully to God in the midst of all we do. And do each day's ordinary things with great love. If we listen to our heart really deeply in our heart and trust what it says, we will hear God speaking to us. Too often, we get caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life, especially now at the Christmas season, and don't give God a chance to talk to us. We need to take time out and listen to the Spirit of God that is within us. When we commit our heart firmly to God, we want to be like Jesus, His Son. We want to get rid of our sinful patterns through prayer and resolve and not return to them. By clearing away our sinful desires, we are able to discover where our truest and deepest desires really are and how to fulfill them. Striving gently for perfect freedom of heart involves making choices. If our ultimate choice is to do God's will, then we have to let go of everything that gets in the way. And belonging joyfully to God in the midst of all we do, St. Francis de Sales said, "A saint who is a sad saint, a saint who is sad is a sad saint indeed." I think we heard that from Father Martin in this summer's lecture series. We have all been called to different vocations in life, but the one we share all together is our call to holiness through baptism. How we are able to live out that calling is up to us. Most of us will not receive our call in a dream or have an angel appear to us, but we all have special gifts that are given to us to help our call to holiness. Through prayer, meditation, and discernment, hopefully we will discover what that call is. And finally, do each day's ordinary things with great love. A quote made famous by Mother Teresa. Love is not the measure, or love is the measure and not the deed. What is your call to holiness in your home, your work, your parish, or your community?